Good morning, traders, investors, punters, wherever you may be. We're coming to you from Houston within 2 weeks now of Christmas. So everyone's probably a little restless, a little anxious. Overnight, we're going to go through what we saw pretty well looking unchanged as far as the S&P goes. Dow futures are up a tad, and Nasdaq were up a tad. We're actually down until not long ago. There was a lot of angst coming into Europe with talks of an imminent lockdown in the UK, new work from home, etc., coming out, and that's in the process there, I believe. The PM Johnson over there's having talks. Then we had an announcement from Pfizer that another jab and you should be fine with the new variant. So we got a lift. However, as you know, the market was already been on a 2-day tear, so not too much there. Over in oil land, we are up again. We had the API numbers come out last night with a bigger draw, with a headline number, but again, we spoke about this last night, a large build in the Cushing, which is the key hub for the WTI futures contract, and a build in gasoline. The EIA report is out today at 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern. As far as natural gas goes, we are up 14 odd cents right now, and a lot of that is from us being way over, I wouldn't say oversold, but coming down hard on the weather change. A lot of speculators being the one way. The EIA report for that comes out tomorrow. As far as the storage report, so keep an eye on weather models there, and as far as your fundamental goes. Okay, let's get rolling here. We're going to look at daily first on the S&P. You can see this is a long chart here. I'll make it, let's blow it up a bit. So yesterday, or was it the day before? It all happened so fast. We got through that daily tanking, which has been our barometer for the past week or so. We had that beautiful ABC. So we're able to, fortunately, grab that and take advantage of it for almost 200 handles. For a lot of bulls there. On the S&P, even more so on the corrections there on the Nasdaq, point-wise, and the Dow Jones. You can see where we stopped overnight. Yesterday, it was really that breakdown level. If you look across on the chart on the daily, you can see that breakdown. You can see we've tried to rebalance here on the blue lines, the chi cow. Okay, let's quickly move ahead to where we are hourly for a closer look here. And I'll keep it wide for now. Again, you can see here, this is the breakdown. And that's where we got more nervous on the variant. Powell changed, he didn't really change his tune. I think that's just how it's interpreted. Everything now seems to be reflexibility, I call it, where the traders trade on what other traders do, which are trading on other traders do, and that's why you get these very elongated moves up and down, very violent swings. And we can see here where we are. We're hanging around the tanking as we come into the New York session or the American session. And remember, that's all rebalancing here, which means also vol is coming in a little bit more steadily. The Cajun's down here, that's going to be our first support. We got the 50 coming up. You have your cloud, and this is going to be our resistance should we go higher, these Murray Math levels and these two previous highs. So keep it simple and have that plan marked out. We hear a lot about gamma levels. Gamma levels, people keep asking me what that is. Basically, it's where your open interest is on your options. So jump on, have a look at that if you are an options trader or an S&P trader. you need to know those levels, and specifically on stocks, and not just the big caps like Apple, but you'll find a lot of these smaller stocks are a lot to do with hedging coming on and off, which is becoming more prevalent because of the volatility. And also there's so many people are aware you don't need as much capital, yet they're not quite understanding of the risk there. That's clear. 5 minute, really not much to see there other than let's keep it simple, steady up all the way, sideways. So if this is a continuation pattern, we're up. If it's a topping pattern, we're down. So use those top and bottoms as your immediate trends. You'll see what happens in the first 15 minutes of what we used to call the pit open or the cash open now. And tons of false breaks. So don't think it's going to go all the one way every day. So look for false breaks. As the market is going to start focusing now, this is Wednesday for the CPI numbers out on Friday. We also have bond options. Remember, very rate sensitive market. So you have the 10-year today. You've also had talk out of the EU. I think it was Rain talking about how, hey, maybe inflation does come down next year. So there's a constant new narrative across everything. Here we're going to watch today the Nasdaq, of course, and you can see that's a tad weaker. It's already under. See this already under the Cajun, but we're much closer to the cloud. Remember what that is. That gives you a target where it can get to, and we see it pushing up towards it. So for things to end, that gets messy. Watch for any crossover here, right? And the weakest of the bunch has been the Russell for as long as I can remember at this point. It has the odd day, and remember that's the most speculative. So if we look at that, interestingly, we're sitting just above the Tenkan, but that's a lot to do with this doesn't really trade much overnight. So don't read too much into that. Okay? These are 30-minute charts, yes. Thanks for that. On the Nasdaq and the Russell. Apple overnight, we saw right after the close. This is a 4-hourly. A new high, just ramped up. A lot of big funds, big players trade this in lieu of the S&P at times, right? There's massive volume there. So we saw that, and we've seen that come over. That did get ahead. See that? That's your Chico. It's important to understand that you look back and you can count through your waves there. We are due for a pullback here pretty clearly. Don't get ahead of things. We did yesterday, I think those who were around, we did took profit on a lot of our calls that we had. We've been fortunate here, and we have put on some puts with the vol quite cheap right now. And that's not a bad way to play right now. You need to take care of your risk. Okay, popping over to oil. Let's look at a daily chart first. More of this. We saw that big move just like stocks. And we're sitting underneath the cloud, and we have a flat Cajun above us. Remember, today is the EIA report. So that will give us some more noise to trade off, the machine to trade off. So that's where we are daily. So look where we are. We're between here. We got through the Tenkan very easy yesterday. Again, we need a breather here. This is basically telling us there's a lot of supply up here. A lot of people are long up here, or there's orders up here. Just keep it simple. That's the key to trading, right? If we look at the 10-minute, and it'll give us some levels. Remember, this worked really nicely yesterday. We're able to do a R1 to R2 trade and then back down again. Okay, so the key to Nova Wave and GAN and all this mathematical is to have a trading plan ahead of time, so you know where you are wrong, basically. So if you think of yourself as a footballer, get your defense right first, and the attack will follow. And those that are listening from Australia or England, well, you probably got an idea of that if you've been watching the Ashes with England totally capitulating yesterday. But let's not get off track there. So look at this move overnight, but let's look at where we're talking about. So that's our Tenkan, isn't it? So right here, we're becoming imbalanced, imbalanced, not imbalanced. As the market opens, we have our pivot down here. We have our S1 and S2. Still a long way away because we're having all these days of volatility. We've our S2 and 3. You see where these are? Up here. So closer. We're actually coming in tighter on the 1s, but still wide on the 2s and 3s. Use that again with your Murray math. And just one more look. We'll have a look at natural gas. We're well aware of that great seller. And we still have this gap up here I've been asked about. Remember, natural gas is seasonal, as is oil. So each month is a little different as you strip out. You go from winter to cold. You have your shoulder system for those not used to it. There's a lot of good people. If you follow we do a weekly oil and gas around the barrels, our oil one, where we have a lot of contributors and a lot of really good minds, and you'll find a lot of data there, a lot of charts. And we have the Vortex report each week on natural gas, so keep an eye on that. Just a steady sell that's been for a while. A lot to do that's with the weather change, so people that had to take off hedging had to put it back on, people that were wrong way speculating, etc., etc. People tend to get too much the wrong way on commodities because you bring in speculators at the end in those wave C's and wave 5, much like the Russell. I think Mayhem was talking yesterday, Alex, about how he's seen a lot of correlation between some of these commodities and the more speculative stock indexes. So we've seen a nice little bounce here, a lot to do with all that, right? We have a gap here, so that's what you're watching. You're also going to watch your pivots on natural gas. So we will talk later in the day, should it get quiet, on natural gas for tomorrow. Remember, oil traders, EIA today. Let's see what else we've got. Overnight, firstly, we've talked about stocks already. The big news was Pfizer, right? And we're pretty quiet on that front. We had some earnings overnight. Stitch Fix was one we watched. If you were listening to us earlier, last night they had a bad earnings report. That's one that's pretty popular. It's down. There was a number of others. I can't think of them off the top of my head. Later on, I'll try and jump on with, we'll talk some more stocks with Alex. And let's see what else we got here. Okay, currency-wise, we have out today the Bank of Canada's report. That's going to be the third. They seem to just drop it doesn't stop with these bankers. This is the third in line after the Federal Reserve with Powell. Testimony. Then we had the RBA. The RBA, remember, was pretty upbeat, so that fed into a lot of this rally came out of that. And before that, Powell, of course, was talking tapers and he was talking tough. So after we had that, as far as bonds go, after we had the Pfizer report, the 2-year yield is now 0.7%. So yields moved up after that report. And as far as US politics go, where Congress is closing in on their vote, so that's expected. I did see that Joe Manchin has still not made a commitment to vote for the Build Back Better Act. And yes, don't get us going on that globalist people. Thanks for that. And so that's really what's going on there. The bill did pass with 51 votes in the Senate. after a number of procedural steps. Okay, we talked about SFX or Stitch Fix hit hard. S was another one. That's Sentinel. That was down after its earnings. It was disappointing in its growth outlook. As far as positive, we had Toll, which is Toll Brothers, the builders, and that before the numbers was going out as a 52-week high yesterday. That is higher, as is PD. We also saw Love, which LUV, which is Southwest Airlines, the Dallas hub. They came out and raised their Q4 revenue, which was interesting. Before that Pfizer number dropped, all the travel stocks were falling over there in England because of the what's going on there, lockdown threats, etc. A number of ratings, we'll put those on the website there. Not much all. We see Moderna going up higher pre-market. We see BNTX going up. They're the vaccine makers, of course. And I see selling off now Apple. So remember we talked about that at 173.70, I think it was, the new all-time high after the market. It's selling down at 171.80 now. It's still up on the day from what we closed at yesterday. 39 cents right now, but it is almost $2 off that high. So remember how we're playing that as far as our strategy on that. So we keep everything technical so we can keep it tight, and then we have our macro view. Let's all have a great day. We will speak to you later. I won't bore you anymore. And good luck, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Be sure, if you have questions, you can put marks down there at the bottom on YouTube here. You can follow us on Twitter at Traders.com, at NovaWave. Make sure you're also following Madavi and Alex over at Mayhem, Markets for Mayhem, and other people that contribute to the site. You'll see them there. Thanks a lot. Good luck. Enjoy.